Why do you keep doing this to yourself, Ninninger? Yeah, Ninninger 24, Drive 41, and Garo Gold Storm 17. Um, okay, Ninninger, of course, annoyed me again this week, and it's not for lack of trying and that they had a good reason, except they kind of missed the internal Aesop, and, it's all because it's fucking Fuuka again. This show has been kind of using her as the bug monkey, slash annoying sister, slash sane man, slash we don't need this character, why do we have her kind of person. And most of her plots have ended up that way. Hey, and she's one of the more tolerable characters, but the show keeps acting like she's the one we're supposed to be hating. So it should be a good thing when she's not around. If that's the case, you completely screwed it up. And repeatedly screwed up, because, Kazumi's the most consistently the most competently shown one of them without the whole ego coming in, and Fuuka's the most relatable, as she's the ninja that doesn't want to be a ninja, and yet has been more or less drafted into this because brother, father, grandfather, I could go on. So, she's the least into this, and her dad decides to dote on her a day after seeing everybody working so hard to master their new abilities, their next stage of training. Except, it really doesn't show her as, needing the time off. It's like I said, it's the father doting on her daughter kind of cliche, when I think it could have worked better if, he was organizing a day for them all off, and because, Fuuka still feels ostracized about the whole ninja thing, that he wanted to make this a nice excursion away from the whole ninja thing for her, especially for her. Kind of mixing the reasons a bit better. That it's not singling her out for a episode that's focused around her, but does nothing to further her character. Because it really doesn't do anything towards that. So they go to an amusement park instead of the initially planned thing, and which would have been a ninja museum, which I'm assuming Japan does have those, considering the whole ninja thing was kind of origins. It would have been a historical museum that had a ninja section or something. I know they have sections dedicated to samurai armors, concerning their old, kind of like a military museum. I've been to a few military museums in America, so I figured the same kind of relation would translate there. So, they go to the amusement park, and Igasaki? Yeah, no, that's the family name. I'm blanking on the father's name again this week. I am so terrible with names. He wants to do something special, and yet he shows he has absolutely no knowledge on anything that Fuuka likes to do. Nothing at all. It's in fact Nagi that has to pull out a rather extensive brochure, as in, it's as thick as one of my guidebooks, and those are a couple hundred pages long, on the whole amusement park. And who knows, maybe it's a dense amusement park, like a bunch of stuff topped on one another, so there's a bunch of stuff there on a concentrated area, because, amusement parks take up space, Japan is short on space, so, places like that would be expensive to operate, so they need to have kind of a consolidated mass of them. Anyways, and Nagi's book is all bookmarked with things Fuuka likes, but as I said, he's her father. He should know this stuff. And then it's like, past that, when he takes her along to all the things, and they're making a short ride, it's like she devolves into someone that is half her age. I mean, she's like, late teens. And admittedly, maturity doesn't exactly factor into how you act all the time. Like, you could be really excited over something and, like, be giddy, excited. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm acting like her maturity level completely devolves into the annoying little sister trope that they keep trying to apply to her, but as everyone regularly acts as idiots, and she's the straight man to that, along with Katsumi, it's not coming off that way at all. Like I said, she's one of the more likable characters of the show. While this is happening, the forces of Kibaoni call in foreign yokai, foreign monsters. The three big Western monsters: Frankenstein, Dracula, and the werewolf. Now, in concept, this is not a bad idea, because yokai are monsters. They're trying to apply it so that their clan of yokai is not the only one. That's good world-building material and syncs up with how Kinji's family were yokai hunters, even though, you know, their faction of Kibaonis has been sealed and their monsters have been being created by what was used to seal them before. I don't have an issue with this. As, you know, it gives a good reason why there'd be other ninja, other specialists in this kind of field of extermination. Plus, it gels with the greater series continuity, well, you know, the whole Sentai thing on One Earth thing, about there being other factions that have fought similar monsters. Where it bugs me is the first one, Franken. Franken's a robot. Now, admittedly, Frankenstein is technically a corpse robot. He's just, you know, made from organic parts and given power by lightning. This series has him entirely robot, obsessed with machines, and can stop machines using a headlight on his chest. Not even chest, like guts. If, as in any lower, and it would be train dick. You know, flashlight. But yeah, his thing is he wants to go sightseeing. So they're at the beginning of the episode, they're playing him off as an annoying foreign tourist. Which, okay, yeah, I could. Going to Japan, I would be an annoying foreign tourist, as I'd want to see all the sights too. So I would actually do this, but you know, it's like it's not unreasonable. And you know what? You could have made an episode about this, like maybe having Franken come across the amusement park and want to go on rides, and then being angry that everyone's, you know, he has to wait behind everyone, and then just terrorizing them to get free use out of them. It'd be silly, but it'd work with the setup and the Kibaoni's thing about gathering fear to revive Kibaoni himself, and, you know, for their general exploits. It would factor into his selfishness. Hell, maybe even play him off a bit as a, since he's not I wouldn't say juvenile, but since he's an artificial life form, maybe, you know, he's been stuck in a earlier age of maturity development kind of thing. So that maybe, you know, Fuuka's fun is interrupted by this yokai, so she's really focused on defeating it so she can get back to having fun on her day off. No, that is not how they do this. Instead, Franken is offended by all the thrill rides, causing more fear than him. You know, thrill rides, yeah, they do invoke the fear response, but it's to get a sense of euphoria out of it. It shocks you in such a way that it tricks the fear nerves into producing pleasure. So it's not actually terror that's the resulting emotion from it. It's exhilaration, it's excitement. It's not the kind of thing that, they can harvest, because otherwise, they'd be kind of trying this. So Franken uses his stoplight to freeze all of the machines in place, and that leads to bad green screen. Repeated bad green screen, in fact. And the rest of the Ninninger playing keep away so that Fuuka can have her time with their father and have the full day off, which pretty much sidelines her for the rest of the episode and kind of shows her as exceedingly selfish for, not coming to help stop the monster and being tricked so easily by everyone into kind of just ignoring it, which is bad for their side and bad for the greater thematic of Sentai concerning teamwork, in that they can only really defeat the monsters using teamwork. And, that they're able to do it. They're admittedly six-man band with Kinji around, so yeah, they can kind of substitute it in for something that could be a five-man bander. Two things wrong with this. One, again, it's undermining the whole teamwork thing, as has been happening since Go Busters. And if you want to get technical, Shinkenger and Ghost Ager had a bit of this too. And not so much Go Launcher, but I think Giga Ranger had it a bit with their over specialization. It's been a declining quality in it for a while. What I'm saying is, this is sundering it in the worst possible ways, as it's not just one character that's breaking from this anymore. They're doing it with everyone. They're doing it by having the asshole that has to repeatedly be retaught the meaning of teamwork, working with everyone else, but singling out a specific individual for unjustified reasons. When Power Rangers does this, they still try and, get the person the time they need until they can't hold out any longer, and usually by that time it works out to have the last person back. Yes, even bad seasons of Power Rangers do not violate this. Samurai doesn't violate this. Megaforce does not violate this. Overdrive does not violate this. Yeah, Ninninger is doing worse than the worst of Power Rangers in this regard right now. 2, and this is the big one. Well, bigger one. They called these 3 yokai in from across the world. Now, usually in these kinds of situations, when they call in these kinds of reinforcements, they are meant to be great challenges to the team. Like, push them to the next level, and while the normal forces recruit to get their next tier of bad guys ready. Franken's no stronger than the yokai they've been bringing out. In fact, he's weaker because, they do this without Fuuka involved at all. In fact, they steal Fuuka's gear, so they don't even need to involve her in calling out Shurikenjin Hao, the big 7-point combiner at this point, which is supposed to be an expression of their teamwork, which, admittedly, sometimes the Ultrazords at the end of the series don't require all of the members together to operate them. This is 24 episodes into the series. Oh dear God, I hated this episode. And it, as I've been implying with the changes you could make, it didn't need to be. It could actually be a Fuuka-focused episode. And you know what? They screwed up the Katsumi-focused episode last week by making it about Nagi, and except, with the revelation that Katsumi was helping him, so it was kind of a paired up, but so atrociously generated in that regard, it switches inappropriately. And then this one, it seems like it's Fuuka-focused, but then it's praising Nagi again inappropriately by him knowing Fuuka better than her father does. My parents don't know all of the things about me, but, they can usually get input. They know enough about me to guess what I want to do, my expectations, and, you know, since I've known them all my life, I can do the same back. And this is just bad all around. Yeah. Drive. Maddox trying to achieve her... Did I? Yeah, Drive. Maddox trying to achieve her super evolution. Excuse me for playing with this, but I got a bit prepared for this. Medic, like I said, Medic is trying to achieve her ultimate evolution, and she's doing it because the emotion she used to evolve the first time into her advanced Roidmude form is love. And now she already feels super devoted love to Heart, so the emotion is there. However, she's not able to quantify it in any regard to push herself past that. She can't find the pure moment of emotion, like, and she can't sync with another human because of her already existing connection and not able to draw it out. She's trying. Let me rephrase. She can't do the hybrid Roidmude thing, as presumably they don't have someone compatible to find that emotion, because it's a pure emotion, not a negative emotion. It's a positive emotion, not a negative emotion. So that wouldn't exactly work the same way, since it's established that the advanced Roidmudes are from extremely negative, corrupted people, which Medic is trying to avoid now, even though she's been the devil, so to speak. I'm using the show's terminology here. So she's doing this by retrieving the woman she copied, which has been in a catatonic state for a year, and stimulating the emotional centers that, the emotional centers of the brain that create love, to try and bridge the connection that she obviously missed when she copied the woman and first evolved. And from this stimulation, it's creating this field effect to other women it syncs with that are on a compatible level, which leads the Special Unit Division to looking into it, and Rena falling ill from the same effect as everyone else. There's actually an interesting bit in here about Chase asking about the intricacies and dynamics about romantic love, which is the next piece in a subplot they've been having with Chase about him trying to understand human behavior. I mean, previously it's been about family and interpersonal relationships, and I guess this is moving to the next point as he's trying to understand humanity from all these different perspectives that manage our lives. And I think from his questioning of it, he's gotten the perception of, since he's been Kiriko's savior and protector since the global freeze, that may be part of what's motivating him to default back to that program time and again. Kiriko's the one that snaps him out of it. Now this plays some havoc with the Shinosuke Kiriko shippers, because the one question we have about Drive Surprise Future is, who is Eiji Tomari's mother? And from spoilers we've gotten, he says that Eiji, at the end of the movie, says his mother is someone that doesn't smile much. And as anyone who has watched the series knows, that's pretty much Kiriko in a nutshell. And yeah, I know I've read all the spoilers for Surprise Drive. If you've not, I'm not going to spoil it for you, because they seem to have done well with the plot devices for that. So, bar my statements about Japan regularly screwing up time travel stories, that might actually end up being a good one, because they've set it up pretty well from all the stuff so far. But it will be months yet before it gets released on DVD, and probably another month or two past that it gets subtitled. Anyways, what tangent was on? So yeah, they find the woman and know her catatonic states and automatically connected to Medic. And this leads to a not exactly leads to, but segued into this is a confrontation with Medic and Bono, and with Brain watching. Brain's been restored to physical form and is now being minion to Medic because she altered his programming, or the viral core that's making up his form, to revert him to his core form at her command, so he only has a body as long as she wants him to. But they're doing something weird with a dog that seems to also facilitate affection from Medic outside of Heart. And I don't even think she realized what she was doing with being affectionate to it, but she was. And it's odd that the dog comes out of nowhere, but considering its relevance, because the dog is the unconditional love thing that comes from Medic's, the woman she copied, Medic copied her physical form from. And at the end of the episode, it kind of starts to lead into her evolution, as in she's not glowing gold, but it seems to be this internal revelation about it. And it's kind of building off to the reason why Medic has been so anathema to the supposed what supposedly caused her evolution. She's been caustic, deceitful, and destructive of her own kind. Her violation of chase, her nasty behavior towards Brain, her Reaper Corps, which have just destroyed the Roidmudes they are part of, and, programming them to destroy instead of reset Roidmude cores. Her entire being has been a malicious twisting of the compassion needed to be a medic, and I think this is kind of leading into the reason why that is, and it's related to Bono himself, as there's a new revelation about the day of the global freeze, in that Protodrive and the shift cars actually dealt heavy damage to a lot of the rebelling Roidmudes during that incident. Hart, of course, phrasing it in that as Crib tried to suppress their revolution when they were really just protecting humanity. It's kind of a not exactly difference of opinion, but difference in perspective there, because Hart and his race were tortured by Bono, who is a despicable human being. However, Bono is the exception and not the rule of humanity, of course. And of course, they only really pull that out from humanity, so they think that's the rule, not the exception. And from that perspective, it's a false perspective. Their revolution kind of makes sense in a way, to correct the behavior of humanity by being better from it. At least that's Hart's view in all of this, and it makes him a better villain, in my opinion. The best villains are always ones that are relatable, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, I like my occasional omnicidal maniac, but even the omnicidal maniacs have to have a good reason for what they're doing. Anyways, this relates to Bono, as he's trying to dock with a Roidmude on the verge of Ultra Super Evolution to gain its kind of power in part of his Mad God scheme. I mean, he was already a ridiculously powerful data program, and with the whole Super Evolution revelation, he's probably trying to upgrade himself to that level beyond being the belt. So, he tries to fuse with Medic. Now, what I think is going to be the revelation here concerning this new expansion on the Global Freeze incident, is that the one that healed the Roidmudes and was this goddess that Hart became obsessed with, it wasn't Medic, it was Bono using her body, well, the body that would become that Roidmude, as a shell program. Because we know that at the beginning of the series, Brain did not have Bano stored in that tablet. He obtained the tablet in the first few episodes and then began carrying it around. After which was introduced the dead but physically there Roidmude plots and Brain instructing various Roidmudes with schemes to try and revive her. Specifically, I think it was number 10. It was around the 10th episode at least, with the whole Volt. That was his name. That was the evolved form Roidmude's name. Volt's plan to use this dead zone thing to drain power it all in, and that was what revived Medic. So this is probably answering why Medic was in the state she was at the beginning of the series, which I like. It's making it so that it's not an anomaly with respect to how Protodrive and Krim was defeating the Roidmudes on the Global Freeze. And also probably explaining why Medic's been acting the way she does. So Bano tries to fuse with Medic, but Heart is having none of that, and tears his belt form off of her before he can do anything while controlling her. Go was involved and is gunning for Bano, and Chase arrives to help intercede. And Chase asks the obvious question: why aren't they trying to stop Bano if he is their if he is their mutual enemy, and what set this whole revolution and conflict off? And pretty much Heart's gone with he doesn't believe his ideals of revolution and preservation of his people are wrong. It's just that, he doesn't want to he still thinks what he's doing with the Roidmudes is the right thing to do for the Roidmudes. Just that, so he doesn't want to ally in the common enemy thing in case, they get stabbed in the back, which, considering Go is involved and he hates the Roidmudes, that's not exactly out of the question. So, there's suspicion as, despite his, considering Chase one of his own, and his complicated friendship with enemy dynamic with Shinosuke from their battles, kind of building a camaraderie. He's not willing to trust them with not seeking to screw him over, which I'm kind of iffy on this, because this is a kind of a conflict you could end without further bloodshed if you wanted to, I guess. Figure out a way to make the Roidmudes not need negative emotions or something, but then again, he wouldn't trust Krim to not just make them subservient again, since much of Krim's perspective on this has been they are rampant entities and not sentient entities that are, well, like I've said several times, seeking their own place in the world. Kind of a compounding of errors, but it's a reason I accept. Yeah. However, Hart decides to send Roidmude 6, because he has yet to reveal his altered form, and with good reason, because Roidmude 6 was introduced simply so Bano could tear out the core and use the body of the Roidmude, which is... This is where I kind of have a problem, because it's inferred that the super evolution is tied to the Roidmude's sentience, and if that's removed, then the super evolution inherent to them is no longer active. It's not caused by the viral core which creates the bodies, it's the programming. So, Bano removes the programming from the body and leaves the body there for him to possess, meaning he gets the powers of super evolution. The powers that would create the super evolution in the Roidmude body, he just removed. Now, I could see there being a remnant of that power as it's being created, and he was about to transform straight from his Roidmude form into his advanced form. But I'm still seeing there potentially being a disconnect there. And there's also the question of who's Roidmude 4 in all this, because Roidmude 4 has been helping Banno recently in doing all of this. He got Krim away from Shinosuke so Banno could copy the data in physical form of the Drive Driver into the Dark Driver. So there's why didn't he just use Roidmude 4 for this evolution? Or was Roidmude 4 not capable of achieving super evolution, and Roidmude 4 is still going to be a minion involved in things? I don't know. That's why I'm asking. But yeah, he transforms using the Roidmude body, giving him his own body as Gold Drive, which is a black undersuited version of Proto Drive, except instead of with all the body armor on Proto Drive was black and purple, it is now gold with a bit of red spaced around it, like red lenses, whereas Drive is white or yellow, or dotted red, not dotted, ringed red if Krim is in control. So, I'm kind of both irritated and understanding of the recycling of that kind of armor in that kind of form. I mean, the Super Evolved Roidmudes are just a gold recolor of the existing Roidmude forms, and we've only had 3 of them so far. And introducing a new character in this way is kind of facilitates some cost cutting. Because, you know, if they're going to do it, you already have the materials present, so why not do it in that form? Especially since, you know, he has no shift cars, so he doesn't really need the tires, and the only one that didn't do the whole tire shifting thing was Proto Drive. So, it makes sense, it just seems kind of, I don't even know what I'm trying to critique here anymore. It works, but aesthetically it should not. Yes, especially Gold Drive apparently can, even though he doesn't have any shift cars or anything, his ability allows him to steal them from the others when they are used against him. So when Go goes for round 2 against Banno, he uses this ability to steal his Zenrin shooter and one of his signal bikes to use in the shift brace and counterattack Dead Heat Mach. And actually, there's a pretty big damn the reason you suck speech in here. The line in there, using Overtime's translation, of course, is, "What the hell was I to you?" The response is, "Isn't it obvious? You're the research subject that's reached the end of its usefulness." Well, actually, that's intercut. It's at the beginning of the scene and the ending of the scene. And my response to this entire throwdown about how Go's calling out Banno as being a terrible father and created this kind of personal betrayal by seeing his family as nothing more than test subjects and then people to rule over. Congratulations, Professor Banno! You just out-Gendo Ikari'd Gendo Ikari. And I'm not even kidding about that. Guy wants to rule the world, guy wants to change the world to fit his demands, guy wants something out of it. Hell, Gendo Ikari had better motivations. He wanted his wife back, and would care about everything else after she was back. Really, Gendo was more of a bastard because, well, he seduced women and had sex with them to do it when he was trying to get back his wife, and kind of ridiculously traumatized his son to the point he would not function in legitimate society. Point is, you know, it's the kind of like the ultimate despicable father thing, and this is a good change in dynamic for Go, leading off of last week's I will fight evil even if it's my father thing from him, in that he's actually following through with it, and putting less priority on the Roidmudes as they are not the root problem of everything, since the things they've been doing have been intentional to the way Banno programmed them, which he thought they weren't before. Of course, as the episode ends, the dog that Medic captured goes to the woman she copied, and it triggers this whole thing with her to break out of battle with Shinosuke and Chase at the time. And here's where I got irritated again. See, this is the second time Shinosuke ends up stopping Medic from being destroyed, and the first time this happened, Heart evolved. And the second time, they were fighting against Medic full out, which is what Shinosuke said he would do in this conflict, and his reasons are he wants to know the truth of everything that's going on, which he could have gotten from another source. It's kind of a petty reason to keep, well, not petty, it's not a good reason to keep Medic alive, as you're a fucking detective. You can, investigate it. Yeah, Medic's a resource for getting rid of this for completing this investigation, since this is against her normal MO. However, she is still a member of a race that is planning to rule over, or replace, or kill, and then replace humanity. They're the enemies plotting something nefarious, even though you've got a better relationship with Hearts. You should be trying to either reset or disable her more permanently, and, Banno's increased interest in her before this would have made sense for him to go Gold Drive after she was out of the picture. We know why it is from the greater regards to the story, in that she's going to be the third of the promised number, another super evolution, but, this kind of interrogation with her should not have come about this way when Chase had the straight shot at trying to finish her, which we want to see. Shinosuke defending her when she was stuck in human form and unable to defend herself. That was justifiable in the respect that we should not be seeing a Kamen Rider attacking someone that cannot defend themselves. Even though, the whole paralysis part of a finisher, that's kind of just finishing off a monster that's still a threat. They were in active combat when this happened, and she had just stalled for a moment. That really didn't justify this in the same regard. I mean, had she powered down to human form again before this happened, lost the will to fight, that would have fit better, but she doesn't change out of monster form until after Shinosuke stops Chase and powers down himself. It's like a de-escalation of tension when there's no good reason to. Like after there's been a decided victor, like Heart has done on numerous occasions. It's a problematic part of an otherwise well-executed episode. Garo Gold Storm. Decade had a good reason for going Destroyer of Worlds on everybody. As it's revealed when Amelie is temporarily freed of the influence of a horror, it's revealed that Amelie and Jinga are a married couple possessed by horrors after they gave into darkness. Now, we already knew this parts of it, but we didn't know the reason why they've been doing all of this. And pretty much the whole Radam thing came to them after their possession, but the reason they became possessed by horrors is because they had a son. The son they were training to be a Makai Knight, and when they passed through a village that had been being tormented by a horror for God knows when, since God knows when, and had to regularly sacrifice someone to appease it, they killed their son. Yeah. And this wasn't, they were forced to watch as the horror devoured him and they were incapacitated. No, they went and killed the horror they were sacrificing things to, and then came back to find that their son had been murdered in cold blood by everyone else. Understandably, that would cause anyone with the kind of abilities a Makai Knight and Makai Priest have to slaughter them indiscriminately. Yeah. Now, to complicate things even further, the village that did this is the one Gald and Haruna come from. You know, the Makai Priest and Makai Priestess that have been helping out with the whole Radam thing, because Radam was originally sealed by a member of the village that took them in. Yeah, you can kind of see the compounding of errors here, in that Gold and Haruna were too young to understand the crime their original home village committed at the time. They just understood that it was a Makai Knight and priest that slaughtered them. And, you know, I can totally understand the actions Jinga and Amelie took when they lost their minds in grief over that. And it's a very relatable action, and something we've seen from this series before. So, yeah, that was a very good reveal. It doesn't change that there's still villains in this, especially since they are horrors now. But wow, that was pretty damn impactful. Not impactful. Once more, I'm blanking on the term I want to use. I'm pretty well executed for, you know, having child death in your show, because I gotta credit Masahiro Inoue and the woman who plays Amelie in this. They were really damn expressive in showing the torment and anguish on their faces as they, went around slaughtering people. And, it was, berserker rage, not all kind of, in that respect. It's like a total betrayal from the people they charged themselves with defending. I can't even imagine what that would be like. Of course, they became horrors after a Makai priest intervened, and when he set off an explosive, they somehow didn't die, but their bodies were possessed by horrors that had been, the village had so much negative karma from their actions that more horrors were ready to spawn anyways. But back in the present, after Amelie relates all of this, Gald tries to kill her because, he figured out the connection to his family being murdered, but only for them to prevent him from doing that, simply because, Amelie seems to be sane in that specific moment. It's not exactly... Okay, it is a ruse, simply to get Ryuga into the Dark Mirror that seems to power Jinga. The Dark Mirror that they've been carrying and is the source of Jinga's uber-powered Makai Knight form is a bastion where no hope can escape, and essentially, it's kind of comparable to a shadow trial, in that you only escape from it, you only survive it if you overcome your inner darkness, because the entire world kind of devours hope and leaves only despair in its place, whereas the shadow trial is about facing yourself and the whole resolve thing. And as I have not watched Yami wo Tarasu Mono, it's on my list. I don't know if Ryuga has gone through such a shadow trial for his whole relation to him being Garo, because that's something the Kai Knights have to go through after they slay 1,000 horrors. We've seen that with Koga, we've seen that with Raiga, but I don't, as I've not watched the first series, I don't know if Ryuga went through that with the corrupted Garo armor, and I don't know if he's done it with the show armor, which he has only had for this show, so... while this is all going on, Jinga has Rian captured and keeps her imprisoned as the watchdog whose name I am forgetting. I hate it when I do that. Comes in on the attack and, yeah, doesn't beat Jinga, which is saved for the next episode. And that's pretty much all that happens, and it was pretty well paced. It's pretty much the quality I expect from a given Garo episode. It's, of course, continuing the arc, and more directly a two-parter in that... No, not even two-parter. This has been coming on for a while. But everything introduced here is hoping to be resolved, specifically the Dark Mirror plots, next time with any luck.